Men and women may not be so different after all. The difference between cisgender human males and human females is quite simple. Cisgender, by the way, relates to a person whose self-identity conforms to their biological sex. These women have an extra X chromosome, and these men have a Y chromosome. This difference has enabled humans to procreate, and it is vital. But other than the obvious physiological reasons, are there really large psychological differences between men and women? Are young boys really more likely to play with cars than they are to play with dolls, or vice versa for young girls? Are men truly more likely to want to engage in sports just because of their biology? Are women truly more likely to want to wear makeup just because of their genetics? I'm here today to tell you that that might not be the case. Gender roles. By definition, they're sets of societal norms dictating what types of behaviors are considered acceptable, appropriate, or desirable for a person based on their actual or perceived sex. The difference between gender roles and gender stereotypes is that gender roles are enforced. Parents enforce them from the moment they put a baby in either blue clothes or pink clothes. The media emphasizes them throughout the duration of a person's life. Today, I wanted to delve into science, history, and even some of my own personal experiences to examine the validity of gender roles and their place in modern society where humans have transcended their hunter-gatherer roles. As a small background, some gender roles for males include being aggressive, lusting after women, being strong, loving sports, and not showing vulnerability. They're expected to be gross, an example being that they love burping, loudly and obnoxiously. And most importantly, they're not supposed to like girly things. Some gender roles for females include being shy, demure, angerless, and weak. They're expected to be sexually conservative but still open to male advances. Women are also expected to be ridiculously clean and germophobic, and all you ladies in the audience could probably affirm that that's not always true. Again, most importantly, they're also not supposed to like boyish things. Now, how biologically based are these gender roles? I'd be lying if I said that they were completely societally enforced. Before civilization, humans were hunter-gatherers. Now, most people believe that men did all the hunting, while women solely took care of babies and gathered berries. That's mostly true, but in most hunter-gatherer societies, baby care was actually spread relatively equally amongst many people. Women were incredibly empowered, as they were just as influential and powerful as men in these societies. According to a study conducted by Northwestern University, the main difference was that men in those times had a tendency to be slightly stronger and more aggressive, so they were more suited to hunting live prey. According to the same study, these women had a tendency to be slightly smarter and more empathetic, and also had better color perception, so they were more suited to foraging and taking care of young. Things have changed now. In modern civilizations, men do not have to hunt to obtain food, and women certainly don't have to pick berries. Women still can take care of young, but it is a duty that can easily be shared by both men and women. With current occupations, intelligence and creativity are valued above all. In this new world, gender roles are much more irrelevant. Although men are naturally a bit stronger, with the advent of exercise and bodybuilding, women can become just as strong. And although women are naturally a bit more instinctive and intelligent, with education for both men and women, men can become just as intelligent. And in current society, because people can have kids who live long lives regardless of their traits, humans are becoming much more diverse. In this new society, not all men will be aggressive, and not all women will be extremely empathetic. In fact, according to an analysis of 46 meta-analyses conducted over 2 decades, men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, cognitive ability, and leadership. And Iowa State University found an almost 75% overlap for more than 80% of the psychological characteristics studied. In reality, their differences are actually very minute. Maybe some of you think that this is a non-issue, so I'd like to talk about some of my own experiences. When I was a kid, I was really passionate about music, and I still am. Singing was and is my passion. Before my voice broke, I had a really high-pitched voice. It sounded pretty similar to this. I loved belting Beyonce songs and Christina Aguilera songs. I loved my voice, but as I started growing older, people started making fun of me for it. It wasn't really anything horrible per se, but it started to affect me more and more. I felt that people weren't taking me seriously as a person just because of my voice. I felt that they saw me as a caricature of myself and not who I truly was as a person. It honestly started to really disturb me, and I definitely did feel like less of a man. After a while, I thought about it for a bit, and I realized that I was wrong. Having a high-pitched voice before it broke was totally normal and totally biological. Loving to sing music that was compatible with my voice was also totally normal. Gradually, my voice did break, but I have learned to be happy with myself and my tendencies over time. It's totally okay if you're a supposedly feminine guy or a supposedly masculine girl. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because the majority of traits that constitute masculinity and femininity are social constructs. As far as how other people are affected, I'd like to talk about a Warwick University study about young teenagers conducted by Maria Domar Pereira. She found that girls who enjoyed sports avoided physical activity because it was frowned upon, and also went on unhealthy diets despite being in good health. The male participants felt pressured into slapping and hitting each other, as well as inflicting pain on each other's genitals, and also drank alcohol. All these kids suffered from significant anxiety, insecurity, stress, and low self-esteem, and generally felt unhappy with these gender roles. Remember, these kids are just around 14 years old. Back in the days of the Egyptian Empire, makeup was actually worn equally by men and women. They both wore extravagant kohl over their eyes. Emperors and empresses had to wear it as a partial sign of their status. Now, in the 21st century, makeup is seen as exclusively feminine. Why is that? Another thing that is arbitrarily assigned to gender: color. Until the 20th century, men and women didn't actually tend to wear different colors. Starting just before the 1920s, it was said that pink, supposedly a stronger and more decided color, was the appropriate color for boys, and that pink, blue, supposedly a daintier and more delicate color, was the more appropriate color for girls. Yup, you heard me right. It's the exact opposite of what it is today. It inexplicably switched in the 1940s, which can show you just how arbitrary gender roles can be. Honestly, I could go on and on, but I'd probably bore you a bit. One last thing though, high heels were actually an essential accessory for men back in the day. So, how are these gender roles developed? Rebecca Bigler, a developmental psychology professor at the University of Texas, conducted a study with many young children in multiple schools. Half the teachers labeled with gender, using it for sorting and organizing everything. Otherwise, they treated boys and girls the exact same way. The other half of teachers completely disregarded gender in every way. By the end of this experiment, the children in the gender-labeled classrooms were more likely to say that only men can have certain jobs, like being a construction worker, a doctor, or the President of the United States. They were also more likely to say that only women could have jobs like being a nurse, a house cleaner, or a babysitter. They also said that only women can be kind, gentle, and take care of children. This was just after a month of the labeling, which shows you just how impressionable children can be. Albert Bandura, commonly known as the world's greatest living psychologist, has said that children formulate gender role concepts through observations, as well as through rewards and punishment. Parents, Parents also play a huge part in the propagation of gender roles, but there is one looming part of society that emphasizes gender roles everywhere. Even the best of parents can't truly protect their children from it. I'm talking about the media. At first, you might tell me I'm just cherry picking. So today, I ask all of you in the audience to really take a closer look at the advertisements you see. Take a look at how men are portrayed, and take a look at how women are portrayed. It's unfortunately very, very different. I was casually listening to Spotify one day, and I remember seeing a banner ad at the bottom for Orbit Gum. It said, that just brushed clean feeling when an innocent let's grab coffee got you more than just coffee. It tried to appeal to males by tapping into their sexuality. Now, that would be fine if they treated females the same way, but after listening to a few more songs on Spotify, I remember seeing the female equivalent of the same ad. This time it said, that just brushed clean feeling when it's dentist day, but that delicious donut could not be denied. It tried to appeal to females by appealing to their forbidden desire to eat junk food, despite society wanting them to be skinny all the time. It's not necessarily completely negative, but it's just a demonstration of the differences with media portrayals of men and women. A study by Dr. Beverly Brown found further evidence of gender stereotyping in advertisements. Boys assume more dominant roles, appearing more active and aggressive than girls. Girls were portrayed as shyer, giggly, unlikely to assert control, and less instrumental. Boys and girls were generally very separated and targeted very differently in these advertisements, even for non-sex type products. Albert Bandura, who I mentioned earlier, has said that children's exposure to TV advertisements had a greater effect on them than their parents because of the time spent watching. And this was in 1969. Media exposure has more than exponentially increased in the last 46 years. So you could probably imagine how big of a role media has in the propagation of gender roles in children now. As technology expands and all these little babies are playing with iPads, they will be more and more exposed to these gender roles from a very, very young age. It would be so much better if children were just raised to be good people who did what they enjoyed, rather than to fit into societal niches that shouldn't even exist in the first place. So what is boyish? What is girlish? Is there truly anything that fits into either role? I don't think that's completely true. I believe that gender roles are inherently harmful because they force people from a very young age to fit into one box or the other. In reality, everyone can be whatever they want. You know, even though we live in the Bay Area, where we have had significant progress on gender roles compared to more other conservative parts of the world, I think we still have a long way to go. I wish I could tell all of you to just stand up to the media and everyone in the world to change gender bias and stereotypes, but I know that's not possible. If it was, I would have done it already. So what I ask all of you sitting here today is that you be yourself and love yourself first before you try to be whatever society tells you to be. Then, after that, you will naturally accept other people regardless of their behaviors. I want all of you to really take a look at the judgments you make on people based on their appearances or their behaviors. And I want all of you to free yourself of those judgments and spread happiness to everyone you meet. If you're a parent or will ever become one, never stop your child from dancing or playing basketball just because of their gender, because it really doesn't matter that much. Thank you.